Most charts in the world have been done in Excel, but it must look professional to become truly a spreadsheet Jedi master. Let's first review the basics. I'm going to click in the middle of this data and do a Control A, which then selects everything until it gets to cells that have nothing in them. Then I will go Insert, and in this case I'm going to choose a column chart. We'll just go with the very simple one here to begin with. When I click on a series, I can look up here in the formula bar and I can see series, and then it gives the parameters of that particular series. Notice each one has the sheet where that data came from. The first item is the name of this series, Sprockets. The next one is A4 through A8, January through May, and then the data comes from C4 through C8. This last item in the series is the order that you'll find it in. Notice if I change this to a 1, it will reverse the orders of these two data items. Or let's change it back now to being the second item. Each series must be on one worksheet. Ranges, you note, are absolute, and they include the sheet name. A series can consist of non-contiguous range of cells, but if you do that, they have to be on the same sheet, and for that range you would put parentheses around it, put the first set of cells, and then a comma and the second set of cells. Different series can come from different sheets and all be in the same chart. Let's take a look at the chart tools. You notice the first item here is to add chart elements and a wide variety of things that you can do. Most of these you notice over here, if I click the chart elements, this plus sign next to the chart, I have these same options available to me. I can do a quick layout, change colors, or maybe I can choose a different design that I want in the chart. You notice as I hover over the different ones, I can see different ways of presenting this data. Let's just select one for our uses. Also, I can switch row and column. Now I see the widgets declining and the sprockets increasing. Or I can select data or change data type and so forth. Let's look at changing the data. I will first switch our rows and columns back to where they were. Now you'll notice over here it shows when I clicked on the series where the data is coming from. I'm going to create more data here by just selecting 2 or 3 rows and dragging it down for a couple more months. It then shows 2 more months worth of data by following the current trends. However, it is not showing up on our chart. To do that, there's several ways I can do it. I can click on one of the series, and I could say I want it to go now to row 10. It included the series, but it didn't include the month or anything about the widgets. I can also click on a corner of one of these and pull it down. Now it includes the month all the way across the chart. However, I will go back to where we started with this portion and just click on the chart somewhere, and I can pull that all down at the same time for each of them and change the data. Let's finish looking through some of our chart tools up here. We've looked at some of the design, but notice we can change chart area, format, reset the match style. We can have all sorts of different shapes we can insert into it, or change the shape. Notice here some word styles. We have different ways that we can format all the lettering on our chart. I can also change the data by filtering out something. Clicking on the filter, I will say let's leave out February and March, and I'll apply that, and you'll notice February and March disappear. I'll put them back in right now. Next, let's talk about chart titles. If you take an English class and you have to do an essay, what happens if you don't put a title on your essay? That's right, you lose points. The same thing with charts. Charts need a title. And if you give me a chart without a title, either in homework or an exam, even though I may not have told you to put a title on it, you will be deducted 1 point because it's so important as a part of the chart. Now, of course, you know that you can click on the title and put whatever you want in that title, but let's make it dynamic. I'm going to come over here into the A column and put XYZ Company. Now, with the chart, I'll click on the title, and to make it dynamic, I'll click up into the formula bar and click on equals and point to XYZ Company in A2 and hit enter. You notice that is now the title of this chart. If I go in and change what's in this cell, maybe I'll include sales, the title also changes. We can also add other elements, include them. Let's insert a text box. Let me draw it down here. And you may put in some source. We won't format it or worry about it right now. But the same way I handled the title, I could turn this into a dynamic text box. Let's zoom out just a little bit so I can do this next part. I can copy this and paste it as another chart with no problem. Now you'll notice if I click on this new chart, it still is hooked to the underlying data. In fact, let's demonstrate this. If I change June's sprockets to just 1,000, you'll notice it changed in both of these charts. Whereas I have another option. I could copy something and then come down here and I'll right-click and paste it as a picture. It pastes it in as a JPEG. You notice if I click on here, I can't click on any of the elements. It's a picture of what the chart looked like at that point in time. This would be something I would take and put into a Word document. Let's go back and change this to 100,000. You can see both of these changed, but this picture below did not. Sometimes I may just want to have a static view of what it looked like at one point in time. Next, I'm going to show you what to do to create and use a template. Thus, I'll delete a couple of these spreadsheets. If I've developed a chart that I really like and I want to use over again, to create a template, I right-click on it and say Save as Template. And I can give it a name. In this case, I'll call it My Chart. And save that. If I want to use it again later and I have some data, let me pick some data here that's not this whole chart, but just part of it. And I will go say Insert, Recommended Charts, or I can go to the others. I'll go to All Charts and Templates, and I can select which one I want, say OK, and now it's used that template to create a new chart. Let's move to the next tab.